Welcome to New Earth Activations with Raina. Right now it's beautiful out. Just wanted to show you. Lately, when I put up these videos, it's not allowing me to label it. I put up a title and it erases it and puts the date. And I don't know what's going on with it. And so it's just there. I don't know if it's YouTube or something else, but I'm not even able to label it. But the last video that I had recorded, I talked about Yeshua the Christ. Who I met. And he saved my life. But he also came with a lot of others. And I also spoke about them too. I talked about the archangels. I talked about the Galactic Council. And I probably mentioned some others too. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to have to delete my video and redo it. And there are many different kinds of beings here. And you have to be careful with that. You want to be mindful who you surround yourself with. So that you don't end up in an unhappy situation. You want to really be careful of that. You want to really be careful that you're not being pressured by all of them together to make a decision, something that you don't want to do. Only do what makes you happy. Don't allow others to pressure you into doing something you don't want to do, because they're only pressuring you for their benefit, not for yours. And before you get married, I highly recommend doing counseling, spiritual counseling. Because that way, then you know for sure who they are to your face as well as they are behind your back. If the counselor says to them, "You're not fair with money," run and never look back. If you get married and you don't want to take their last name, don't let them pressure you into taking a last name you don't want. It's your life. And you want to make sure that who you're marrying isn't marrying you for money. Or in hopes to take your money and then leave you without anything and no one. And wants you to, they're already digging your burial ground, hoping that you'd give up so that you don't have a way to defend yourself. You want to make sure you're never in that situation where they're just marrying you for money and then want to ruin your reputation on top of it. And if they're always around their family, it's where they can't be without their family for one night, get rid of them. You don't need it. If they're giving all their money to their family and nothing to you, get rid of them. If they're humiliating you at events and in public because that's the way his family wants it, get rid of him. Or her. It could be either or. Because you don't really know who they are. If you can't trust them, get rid of them. Better be safe than sorry. Or worse, homeless after they tried to take everything from you. And then ruin your reputation on top of it, and then pay off, bribe everybody to get all these informations on you that aren't even true. Just to back up their BS. Get rid of it. Even if you have no money and you're in that situation, leave anyway. There's a whole world out there. You'll find some way to turn your life around. If you're in an emergency situation, can't trust the government. Because there's nothing for an emergency situation, then what you have to go through is what? A bunch of nonsense. And if you're left without money even for food, you can't rely on that either, because it really doesn't even get you enough through for 2 weeks. I don't know how many others there are around the world that think about orphans. Or go out of their way to help them. Not that it's really anybody's responsibility, but sometimes there are reasons why, other reasons why not, they're an orphan, not just because they have parents that were addicts. They could have been an orphan because they decided to do something nobody else wanted to do. And so they were bribed also, and so then you're an orphan. But the trick is to find out who people really are before you're in that situation. And you always want to be able to protect yourself so that you have more than enough means to take care of yourself if you need to take off. The world isn't as like I said in my last video, as we were taught to believe. You can do, be, or have anything you want. You just have to know what it is you want and go for it. But do it before you lose. You do it so that you don't lose everything and have to start over. Because you're around some shady people that are just greedy and want to take everything. Even so, they might have judged you if you did find yourself in that situation as easy prey, thinking that if there was a group that they would get over on you. You showed them differently. And show them that one is more powerful than all of them put together. All them corrupt minions. You show them that you're more powerful than all of them put together. I think it's disgusting that people can be bribed to destroy somebody else's life all for money. And if you do decide to marry someone from another country, you really want to make sure that you can trust their family. If their family doesn't treat you right, get rid of them. You're not going to be happy. And if you're around a family where they like to have nicknames, that's a scary thing. If you're not being called by your own name, a nickname is a way of hiding who they really are so that you don't find out what their real name is, because they could be doing some things they don't want you to know about. Get rid of them. And if they always have people come over every 6 months from their country, and they hire these people to do whatever they want, and they're doing nothing for you but causing you problems, get rid of them. I'm just trying to help you see the light. And know what to be aware of so that they don't pull the wool over your eyes with their extras, their paid extras for you to believe in the monologue and the lame act and the circus show, the ensemble that they're wearing. You don't believe in the clown suit. You don't believe in what's coming out of their mouths. You read their actions and you feel it out, because your feeling will never lie to you. It will always tell you the truth. Even if you are in a dangerous situation, God is always there, trying to show you another way. And you never know how they're going to show up. You just have to be open to receiving the messages. And when someone shows up in your life, you don't really know who they are. You could be talking to an archangel. You could be talking to an earth angel. You could be talking to a reincarnation of an ancient high priestess, but you don't know that. Because some things are hidden in plain sight. But if you're in a dangerous situation, you want out, there'll be plenty of help for you. And they could be visible helpers, they could be invisible helpers. Like I said in my last video, there are worlds going on right next to you that you don't even see. And if you haven't been working on your vibration, and you're at a low vibration, you're not going to see them because you're vibrating too low. This is why it's important to stay on top of your vibration. So that you can rise above that. I know for me it wasn't an easy thing to do, but for somebody else it might be. But when you hear the messages, jump on it immediately. It's best not to look the other way. If an archangel speaks to you and says, I miss you being a warrior, I would jump on it and not look the other way. I would take that seriously. Going on this planet that maybe you are aware of and maybe you're not. But if everybody just focused on raising their vibration, raising their frequency, this would change the world. For the better. The more people that do these activations, these meditations, you are helping raise the vibration of the planet. And it's important and imperative that you do so, that you stay on top of these sessions. It may seem like nonsense or sound like nonsense. I assure you it's not. It bypasses the logical mind and goes straight to the heart, because the mind will have all reasons as to give you excuses not to, and it will try to talk you out of it. And that's a problem. So it's best that the mind doesn't understand the sessions. That's okay. It's an easier way to get through to your heart. It's opening you up for more and better. And when I had put up something about do the right thing, not many people were happy with that. But they don't have any clue as to why I said that. Now, if someone says something that I don't like, I don't face my back, or, do the predictable, ordinary things that others would do. I don't treat people like that. And that's okay. You be who you are, and that's fine. I still love them both you anyway. But I'm not judgmental like that. There's reasons why I say that. Is because I want others to know that not everyone has good intentions. And you really want to be careful who you surround yourself with. And if you're suspicious about something, you're probably right on the money and listen to it. And God could pop up anywhere at any time to give you a message. I don't want to give all away, because I might save that to put somewhere else. So I just wanted to give you some information so that you know better. Because I understand not everyone has a family that cares about them. Not everyone has a family that they can talk to. Even if this information helps one person, that's great. Even if it protects just one person, that's great. If you can't trust the people you're around, you're better off being by yourself. Because it's only going to hurt you in the end to be around that, because then what's going to happen, you don't want how they are to brush off on you, and then you become bitter because you're adapting to their ways, doing what they want you to do. And then you're in a situation that you don't want to be in. And if you're sick and you know what's going on, it's best to try to do what you can to get well as quickly as you can, and then move on. If somebody's around you that has an anger outburst for no good reason, and it just seems odd and strange, get rid of them. I've spoken with a lot of people that told me that Yeshua the Christ saved their life. Definitely saved my life. And I'm forever grateful for that. But it took a whole village for me to get it, because I was a little hard-headed. And there are reasons for that. That I didn't know about until later on, much later on. And you want to be careful if someone keeps asking you, say you have a bunch of different phones and you have different phone numbers, and they keep asking you for your phone, get rid of them. Because they're trying to steal your contacts so that they can bribe people to go against you. The more you know, the better. And you're being smart by being safe rather than sorry. You don't want to be in a situation to where you have nothing and you've been trying to turn your life around, but you can't because of what happened to you financially through it all, because of a bunch of greedy people. You don't ever want to be in that situation, because when push comes to shove, then you see who is there for you and who actually cares about you when you're down and out. And if you go away for a while and you find your things are missing, get out of that situation, pack and move out. Because you don't know, there's probably a lot of information that's being hidden from you and you don't really know the things that they're not telling you, so you want to be mindful of that. And also, I was going to say something, I decided not to. I think it's better I don't. You don't want to be in a situation to where you keep trying to turn your life around, you keep trying, but you don't have the means, you don't have the funds to do so. Because that sucks. That's a miserable existence. When you know you shouldn't be in that situation because you've had plenty to be able to turn your life around, but that's all gone because, You've got people who are trying to take that from you and turn around and tell people you gave it to them, and you know that's not the truth. Why would you do that? Who the hell are they that you would leave and you would give them anything? And you want to be careful that you can trust them with your mail. If you find out you're not getting your mail, and you find out that they steal identities, and you get into a car accident, and then they want to use your identity and bribe the cop to do so, bribe the judge, bribe the police, bribe the court, bribe the bank to do all these things. You want to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are trustworthy, and that they have your back behind your back as well as to your face. If one time they don't do the right thing, get rid of them. Don't give them a second chance, because if they're jeopardizing the situation they have with you, don't give them a second chance. If they do it once, it's done, it's over, it's dead, it's out. And leave them behind and never look back. And say you had no idea what your family was like either. Say you didn't know that, and you were in a situation where you were down and out, and they did nothing for you. And they didn't care what happened to you, whether you lived or died. And actually, if you really pay attention to it, then you could see who they really are. Are they paying people off to end your life so that they can collect insurance? You want to really, really meditate and take a good look at who's around you. Are they around you because they respect you and they really have your back? Or are they just using you for whatever reason? You don't need a user. You're better off by yourself. And if they're pressuring you to have a family and you don't want to, listen to your feeling. Don't go ahead with it, because you'll be miserable. Because they have some ulterior motive, and it could be to keep you busy so that it's a distraction, so that you don't find out exactly what they're doing behind your back. And then if you say no to a family, then they bring home all these pets in one weekend to fill up every room in your house, to where there's no furniture. And so you decided no to a family, but now they've done this to keep you busy so that you can't figure out exactly everything that they're doing behind your back to make you look like this, that, and the other thing, when they're the ones stealing and putting people in a grave by pressuring them for money. And wanting to care so much about their image in front of others while making you look bad. You don't want to be in that situation. And just because a group of people show up in their handmade suits or handmade dresses or gowns, shoes, whatever, and they're all dolled up, and they have their money, and they have all these people around them, doesn't mean they're telling you the truth. It's like a movie set. They're paid actors and actresses. They're extras. They're paid off. If there was a group of people saying horrible things about one person, who are you going to believe? That one person or that group of people who was all dolled up trying to prove something? I would hope you would want to believe the one person, because the one person has nothing to lose. Maybe that one person escaped that situation because they didn't want to be corrupt and they couldn't be bribed and they wanted nothing to do with it. But then you see everybody that falls for it. They fall for the money. They fall for it because birds of a feather flock together. And eventually, what happens? What goes up must come down. What goes around comes around. Eventually, they're going to have to suffer the consequences of their own karma, of all the harm and hurt they caused others because of greed or whatever other reason, and then lies on top of it. So I can only hope that this information gets out to those that really need it, that maybe are in situations that are unsafe for them. And I hope that this would encourage them and empower them to leave a situation even if they have no money. They don't have to stay there and put up with any kind of crap. Just get up and leave and move out of the state, go somewhere else. There's a whole world out there. But you don't want to be in a situation to where now you've moved in with some people and they're stealing from you too. That's not a good situation either. And you don't want to overgive either. Being too kind isn't helping you. And you never want to overgive, even if someone says they're your family, they're your brother or your sister, and they're in a situation. Because when you're in a situation, they're not going to be there to give to you. Whatever situation they found themselves in, they can get themselves out of, and not at your expense. Because they'll keep taking and taking and taking and taking until you have nothing left, and then they disappear. And then they badmouth you behind your back. So you really want to be careful with that. This is why it's important to meditate. This is why it's important to go within. Because all the answers are there if you stay focused on your breathing. And still the mind. It may feel a little awkward at first, but if you stay on top of it, it'll get stronger. I'm sure, I don't know if you have ever heard of the Galactic Council before, and I think most people have heard about archangels. I'm not sure how many people have heard of the Ascended Masters. But they are there and they're listening and they can hear you. And just because you're alone doesn't mean anything. You're never alone, even when you think you are. I know I couldn't wrap my mind around that in the beginning either. Like one time I'm in the house and there was a being there that said something, did something that they shouldn't have. And I just laughed it off and let it go. And then Yeshua, the Christ, pops up and then gives me information on exactly what to do with that situation that wasn't right, that wasn't okay. Immediately after that happened. And I'm thinking, how could you see me? I'm in the house. How could you see me? I'm in the house. That doesn't make a difference. Doesn't matter where you are. Nothing goes unseen. Nothing goes unheard. And if you're around people that are asking you for your opinions or your advice, or they want to use your time to put things together, and they're not paying you and they give you an excuse, well, we can't do this because of whatever reason, but they're paying themselves and everyone else but you, get out. Don't tolerate it. Not even one time should you let that slide. And if you're around them and they say they don't celebrate anything, but they celebrate themselves, they celebrate their birthday, they celebrate everybody else's, and they have holidays with them but not with you, get out. If you go on vacation and you find your things are missing in your house, get out. You can look somebody in the face and you can almost read them like a book. If they look really if they don't look like they're trustworthy, get out. I don't care if they're a man or a woman. You always want to keep yourself safe, and you want to be able to trust those that you're around. You don't just want to have people around you for money or because they're impressed with your status or your name or whatever it is that you're doing. For me, I'm very grateful because legions of them came in support of me. I didn't even know what was going on, and I couldn't even see it right away. But if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. I mean, it took the whole universe to wake me up. And that's a big deal. And when something like that happens, you know it's serious. But it takes you a long time to come around to see exactly what was going on. And the universe knows why. And for me, I'm so glad that I made spirituality a priority above all else. And I'm really grateful I did that, because if you just have money and you're spiritually dead, I don't know what kind of existence that is. I mean, at one time, that's the way I was thinking, but you're just spinning your wheels going nowhere. And I consider myself one of the fortunate ones because I've seen things now that very few people have seen. Or maybe I'm the only one because I'm told that it can't be repeated. I don't know if you ever heard of the word ascension. But ascension is an inside job. And if it takes you a long time to understand things, that means that you really have to look at your beliefs. Your beliefs could be what's blocking you. And maybe there's outdated programs that are obsolete, that are no longer serving you, in which to let go of. And the way the Galactic Council or the Archangels or the Ascended Masters introduce themselves to you could be a fun way in which they introduce themselves to you if you've never spoken to them before. And when that happens, if they tell you their name and you remember it and it sticks with you, this is a good sign. I mean, you could be out feeding the birds in your yard. You could have 40 feeders up on your 20 acres or 25 acres of land, and you're out there all season long making sure that the animals don't go hungry, and making sure that they all have homes to stay in, and you're growing food for them, and you're taking good care of them. And you never know, God could pop up with a message there, the archangels could pop up with a message there. You just never know when it's going to happen. I don't want to give it all away here because it's giving me some ideas of something else. I don't want to get carried away. But I hope that this information gets to those that really need it, that maybe are in a situation and are afraid to leave a situation because of the funds or whatever. If you're unhappy, there's no point in sticking around. Just get up and leave. You're here to live your best life, to do what brings you joy, to share your gifts and talents with the world. You're not here to suffer around people you don't really want to be around, because they're disrespecting you in public, they're humiliating you in public, they're trying to ruin your reputation, all because of greed, or because they did some underhanded things and looked deeper into things that they had no business looking into. Which I don't want to get into those details. Maybe I will on another day, but that's just too much information at the moment. I don't know, I'll see if this flies, if I'm going to make it public or not. I usually feel it out first to see. If it's safe and okay to make it public. If not, I'll delete it. Wouldn't be the first time. But if this video saves one person's life, then that's great. If it saves more than one person's life, that's even better. And when you're dealing with anger and rage, there's a reason for that. It could be because you're tired of being taken advantage of by everyone that you're around. That could be family, it could be whatever, it could be marriage, it could be anything. And you don't need it. For me, I was like the one who always tried to only see the good in people and admire what I liked best in them, and ignoring everything else. That's very unhealthy. You're only hurting yourself. And if you have family that only want you around because of money, you know, say the mother was receiving alimony and she only wanted you around to take that money, and then when you went to work, she expected you to give her more money, and then when you're in a situation, she's nowhere to be found. All while making up these stories about you that aren't even true, just because of money, and try to make herself look good so she can get more money. Your brother or your sister might be doing that, your aunts and your uncles. Get rid of them. You don't need it. Move on. You can do better somewhere else. Just stay focused on what brings you joy. And you'll find others who are doing the same. Eventually. You don't ever want to be left in a situation where you have no money to move, no matter how many times you tried, and you still just can't make it work because it's the lack of funds. And then how are you forced to live? And then compared to what you're used to, compared to what you have now. And that's not a fun way to live either. Because then that's not showing yourself in your best light. It's showing you a way you're forced to live now. And I don't know how many people can have self-respect or want to show themselves in that way. Because that's a tough thing right there. And if you're used to taking care of yourself a certain way and then suddenly you can't, it's heartbreaking. The other day I caught some people doing some underhanded things. Immediately, I knew it. Immediately. And I knew if there was one, the other wasn't too far away. Which I also knew. And saw that too. You can't fool an empath. A beyond extreme, super sensitive empath. You can't fool them. Once they have worked on themselves, they see right through it. And you don't want to go through life being comfortably numb. Ignoring your feelings, sweeping it under the carpet, be distracted, and make everything else a priority but your feelings. That's very unhealthy. And if you have a pet, take really good care of that pet, because that pet is loyal. All animals are pure, unconditional love. They will always be loyal. They will save your life if you take good care of them and treat them like family and not as slaves, as a guard for your house or your belongings. They have a heart, they feel. Treat them well. I mean, everything can feel. The planet can feel, the trees can feel. Everything can feel. They all have hearts, whether you know it or not. And how many people acknowledge the trees for all that they do on a daily basis for us? And people want to make fun of tree huggers. I don't see anything wrong with it. You say thank you. See, that's a drunk. That's a drunk with a lousy vehicle like that. A loud vehicle, excuse me, not lousy. A loud vehicle like that. In this area, they love to be wasted. That's why I don't belong here. I just don't understand that mentality. Why would you destroy yourself? I guess we all have different paths. Mine wasn't to experience that. Because if you had issues as a kid where you were constantly in and out of the hospital, or the ambulance was constantly picking you up because you couldn't breathe, the last thing you're going to do is party. The last thing you're going to do is smoke. The last thing you're going to do is drink. The last thing you're going to do is sleep around with everybody. The last thing you're going to do is do any of those things to harm yourself, which is stupid. Me, if I had money, I'd rather go off and stay fit and travel and wear something that makes me feel good. But, you know, I did a little too much of that. And it's really not a smart thing to spend your money on your wardrobe. It's best to make sure it's working for you so that you have plenty in case of an emergency. Because the government isn't going to help you in an emergency. It'll be absolutely useless. But they can pay off their friends and their around and take care of each other. But when push comes to shove and you're in an emergency and you need it, they're not going to help you. I mean, what kind of help do they offer to people who have been in horrible situations with others, to where they have nothing? There's no help for them. There's no support for them. And then even if there is, how long does that take you to get it? You shouldn't have to jump through hoops. It should be easy. You need help? Okay, there it is. You got it. I mean, the country should be able to help out its own people before it goes to help out the rest of the world. It should make its own people priority before it goes to help out anybody else around the world who's with their hand out. Because if you're there with your hand out, then when you have it, what good have you done for the country that you've taken so much money from? Have you done anything for those that truly need it in that country that you've been taking for so long? How about the orphans? Did you do anything for orphans? Did you do anything for those who really don't have anything? No, of course not. You were just there to build up your own kind and your own world and just take, and take. So you want to make sure that you don't need the government for anything. You want to make sure that you're so set up that you don't You're not reliable or dependent on anyone or anything. But if you do have money saved, don't give it all away to your family or whoever calls themselves family, because they found themselves in a situation and now they want to get out of it at your expense. Now, I know I've been all over the place with this talk here. I've talked about many different things, but I feel it's important, this information, and hopefully it will reach those that really need to hear it, and those that it can help. And you want to remember, you can trust the universe. And that when you hear about what they call angelics, ascended masters, aliens, hybrids, there's nothing to fear. Most of them are benevolent. But you want to be careful. You want to make sure that that it feels right. You want to go with your feeling, because if your feeling is telling you otherwise, then you want to run for the hills, away from them. You could be talking to a hybrid and don't even know it. Because when has a situation like this, has it ever happened to someone who's wealthy? When you look in the books, do they ever choose someone that's wealthy? First of all, being pure in heart matters. It's a big deal. Because I don't know if God is I know God is impressed with pure in heart, but when you talk about people will tell you, oh, they don't care about your heart. They just are impressed with your money. So you want to be careful of that. You always want to have a mind of your own and not just have others dictate to you how you should be doing things. Just follow your heart. Your heart knows the way. Oh, I think think I've said enough here. I probably said more than enough. I don't know if it's going to be okay for me to upload or not, but that remains to be seen. I will. Last night when I did my videos, it took all night long. I think they weren't uploaded until this morning, and I did them last night. So I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if it's the weather or why it took so long. I have no idea. And I don't know how long it's going to take to upload this video either. I'd like to maybe do a meditation after this and see how that turns out. But right now I think I need a little break. If you have any comments, you know how to reach me. And stay on top of these meditations. This one's not a meditation, this one's just a talk. Stay on top of them, do them 3 to 7 times a day. And start noticing how you feel. And stay on top of it. Be real careful not to lash out at others. And if you feel anything other than positive, I suggest it's time for you to be alone and sit with those emotions until they dissipate into nothingness and whence it came. Because it's not attractive to be a drama queen in public. It's not attractive to lash out at others and take that out on others. You want to sit with it and be with it and understand what's happening and why it is. If you have my phone number, you can text me. You can post a comment in the description box below. Please like, share, subscribe so that the more people this reaches, the better. And you can email me at arianadhabsburg@gmail.com. And I will see you next time.